Hello everyone and welcome to my channel called Demon Story Time. Thank you so much for subscribing, for your likes, for your comments, for your donations. All information you can find down below in comments. Today we continue to read this lovely book called Fairy Tales, and our story will be called The Dancing Princesses. Here we have some lovely drawing of dancing princess sleeping. Yeah, let's go then. It was a time of war. Men thought only of fighting, and girls left alone and afraid wanted only to dance their worries away. The king of Terpsichorea did not want his 12 daughters to dance. He valued them like gold and silver and diamonds. And like gold and silver and diamonds, he meant to keep them under lock and key where no one else could lay hands on them. So each night he locked them into their bedroom, and each morning he found them sleeping there. Still his, still his, yeah. But the king was baffled. The king was bewildered. The king was mystified. Every morning at the foot of the 12 beds were 12 pairs of satin slippers worn into holes. 12 times he bought them new dancing slippers. 12 times 12. And 12 times the slippers were worn out overnight, as if the princesses had danced every hour that they slept. The king was baffled. The king was bewildered. The king was mystified. He made a decree. Let it be known that the king will give in marriage the hand of a royal princess to the man who can solve the mystery of the worn slippers. And the story began. Page 69. Yeah. Every man in the land came running to the palace gates. I'll solve it. I will, the king went on. 3 nights the man may spend in the bedroom of the princesses, but if after the third night he has not solved the mystery, he shall die. By the time he had said this, the queue had gone from in front of the palace gates. The princesses were beautiful, but not so beautiful that man would die to have them. War teaches people to cling on tight to their lives. I guess so. A few gallant princesses came from foreign parts to attempt the quest, to discover the secret, but after 3 nights none had even managed to stay awake, let alone find out how the princesses wore out their slippers, and so the princesses died. The princesses would not tell. What did they care if the princesses who came never went home again? Outside town, a wounded soldier sat with his back to a tree and wondered why the war had left him. Musgrave alive. It had left him no. Here we see brave soldier. I don't know if you can see it clearly. Let's check. home, no job, and nothing to eat. So why had it spared his life? To sit in a wood with his back to a tree? I suppose you're on your way to the palace to solve the mystery. An old woman as wrinkled and brown as a fallen leaf sat down beside him. What place? What mystery? Said Musgrave. So the old woman told him, Why not? I've nothing to lose and everything to gain. I'll give it a try, said Musgrave. Well said. Take this cloak, said the crone, and take some advice too. When the princesses offer you wine, don't drink it. No one offers a wounded soldier a cup of wine in these heartless times, Granny, said Musgrave. But he took the dirty rag she thrust into his hands, not wanting to offend her. The cloak looked none too clean, but then neither did Musgrave. The king did not want this common grubby soldier sleeping in his daughter's bedroom. But there were no princesses left, and 100 more pairs of slippers had been worn to horse since the challenge. So he let Musgrave try, comforting himself that in 3 days the impertinent young man would be dead like all the rest. No sooner was Musgrave introduced to the princesses than they offered him a cup of wine, rich and red. Drink it, do. You must be so thirsty. After all that fighting, Musgrave wanted it more than any prince would have done, but he remembered what the old woman had said and only pretended to drink, letting the delicious wine trickle out of his mouth onto his red jacket. The sand did not show among all the others. They showed him to a bed, soft and white and inviting. But many was the night Musgrave had to stay awake on guard when he was dropping with fatigue. So he laid his head on the pillow, but he only pretended to sleep. Poor fool, said the oldest princess. He hardly needed the drugged wine to make him sleep. Now, on with your slippers, sisters. Our partners are waiting. 11 princesses leaped out of the bed and ran to the great wardrobe where their dresses were kept. But the last little princess was slow to dress. So many young men are dead because of our dancing. Must this one die too? All is not well. My slippers are cold tonight. But her sisters only laughed at her and rustled in their gowns, decking their hair and throat with jewels. They gathered together their huge skirts and squeezed into the wardrobe and out again on the other side into a secret passageway. A bitter draught spilled from the wardrobe into the room, making Musgrave shiver. Wrapping himself around in the dirty rag of a cloak, he found to his alarm that his body suddenly disappeared. Oh, interesting. In a panic, he clutched at his legs, at his arms. Phew! still there. He was simply invisible. Invisible? That means he could follow the princesses creeping through the wardrobe. He closed the door behind him. Click. What was that? Said the youngest princess. All is not well tonight. I feel it in my satins. But her sisters only laughed at her and ran on. The tunnel came out into an underground orchard whose trees glimmered with golden leaves. But the princesses did not stop there to dance. They ran on into an orchard whose trees scintillated with silver blue blossoms. But they did not stop there either to dance. They ran on into an orchard whose trees sparkled with fruits of diamond. Musgrave could not help but catch his breath at so many wonders. Who's there? Gasped the youngest princess. All is not well tonight. I feel it in my blue blood. Princess is dancing. All 12 of them. But the sisters only laughed at her and ran on across the drawbridge of a subterranean castle. Subterranean castle. There 12 princesses with eyes of fire and hair of fur and sweat of glistening jet took the princesses in their arms and danced with them till morning. So that is your secret, is it? Whispered Musgrave to himself. Who spoke? Said the youngest princess. All is not well tonight. I feel it in my hair. But her partner only laughed at her and whirled her faster in the dance. The sulphur-yellow walls of the ballroom were lit with flickering red, and the flowers in the vase were not fresh but made of glass. All night Musgrave watched. Then he followed the 12 princesses back through the tree orchards and the tunnel to their bedroom. Their slippers were worn to holes, and they were pale with weariness. Musgrave could have gone then and hammered on the king's door and told him the secret of the dancing princesses, but instead he ate the breakfast sent to him and the lunch and dinner too, and prepared for a second night in the bedroom of the 12 princesses. Yeah. Again, they pretended to drink the wine they gave him. Again, he pretended to sleep. Again, the girls got up and crept, giggling and whispering through their secret passage to their secret rendezvous. Again, Musgrave followed, although there was no sky overhead. The way was not dark because of the shining of gold leaves, silver twigs, and fruits of diamonds. All night Musgrave watched as the princesses wore their slippers to shred dancing. Then he followed them back to their beds. He could have gone then and demanded to see the king and claimed his reward for solving the mystery, but instead he ate the breakfast sent to him and the lunch and dinner too, and prepared for a third night. On the third night he grew bolder. He followed the princesses so closely that he stepped on the train of the youngest dress. She cried out in fright, invisible in his magic clothes. Musgrave even joined in the dancing, tripping the princesses with their hair of fur and their jet black suits, twirling the youngest princesses round in his arms. Oh, who touched me? she said. All is not well tonight. I'll feel it in my arms. The ghost of one of those poor young men we have sent to their death. Poor princess. But her sisters and the princesses laughed at her and caught hold of her hands and pulled her into their circle dance. Back in their bedrooms, the princesses kicked off their ragged slippers and fell on their beds. Very past once, the youngest looked with regret at the sleeping soldier in the corner and remembered that today was his day to die. But she too was powerless to stay awake. The nightly dancing was stealing away her strength, stealing away the roses in her cheeks, stealing away her soul. Speak, soldier, have you solved the mystery of the worn slippers? Asked the king, expecting to hear the same excuse. Please, your majesty, I could not stay awake. I really tried. Spare my life. But Musgrave did not plead for his life. I have indeed solved the mystery, your majesty, he said. Each night your daughters rise up from their beds and pass through a tunnel to an underground castle where they dance all night, and every night with 12 princes. On the way they pass through an orchard of golden trees, an orchard of silver trees, and an orchard of trees whose fruits are diamonds, to reach a castle with walls of sulphury yellow and flowers of glass. Lies! All lies, said the oldest princess, choking down her amazement. He's making it all up to save his skin. Tell the laird to prove it. So the king went to the daughter's bedroom. So did Musgrave. And so did the executioner, busily sharpening his axe. The king blundered about among the satin dresses and silken petticoats, but could find no tunnel beyond the wardrobe. All he found were 12 pairs of ragged slippers with holes in their soles. The man was lying, sighed the king. Take him away, executor. Musgrave put his hand inside his jacket. You may think he pulled out the clock and disappeared. No, he pulled out instead a leaf of gold, a twig of silver, and a huge diamond shaped like a pear. These I picked in the tree orchard he said. And this glass flower I took from a vase in the underground castle. Then the princesses burst into tears, knowing that their dancing days were over and they would see no more of the 12 princes. Choose your bride, said the king. Choose the oldest, and in time you shall inherit my kingdom and rule in my place. But Musgrave did not choose the oldest. He chose the youngest. I believe she has a little heart left to love me, he said. The others have worn too many holes in their souls. That's a lovely drawing of dancing princess and prince. You can see. Yeah. And because the king liked Musgrave's answer and loved his youngest daughter best of the 12, he shared his kingdom with the soldier anyway, which set Musgrave dancing until he wore his old army boots right through to his socks. Ha ha ha. That's it, my dears. See you next time. Bye.